All right, it's all yours, Dr. Pat.
Hey, can everyone see the side slides? Because I've taken the view down of everyone. So I'm going to let John, can you tell me if it's a yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm really excited about having this opportunity to share with you, especially connecting the nonprofit sector to what you guys have been focusing on as it relates to AI governance. Like you were sort of introducing yourselves, I wanted to share a little bit of a story about me that will help you to get a sense of how I got into this space and how I see things based upon where I've been. So the guys that are there at the teachers, the law school. I don't know if you've seen this. The big computer sitting there in the back of the room where I am, but this year is 1986, and that young lady is me. And I'm working for the American Speech Language Hearing Association in Rockville, Maryland, as their director of speech language pathology. And in that capacity, I was responsible for answering everything that came into the association, no matter where it came from. And I was getting a lot of calls from funders, from HICFA, from Medicare, Medicaid, asking questions about how long it took speech language pathologists to do certain things and how much was it costing us, and a lot of questions that when I looked into our literature, I couldn't find answers. And I became concerned that as payment changed for how we did business, we were going to be in trouble because funders were going to set some standards that might not be realistic for us. And so I proposed to our board that we develop a system called the Program Evaluation System. It would be an automated system that everyone that was providing services throughout the country would put their data in, and we would collect that data. And nationally, we would be able to analyze it and be able to look at how we were doing, no matter what setting we were in, no matter who we were serving. We would be able to gather information about that. So the guy that's sitting next to me is really reflects some of you guys that are here. This was the tech guy. He was the person that was going to work with me to help me build this system, and in fact built the system. And the guy that's sitting with the glasses represents governance. He's on the board of the American Speech Language Hearing Association, and so he's representing that aspect. And we are talking to people all around the country. That little box in the center and those little microphones replace what would be what Zoom is right now. That's how we're communicating with people around the country. There was no way to see anyone, but we were able to talk to each other, and we could communicate and get feedback that way. So it's been a while when I started out with this idea about looking at outcomes and looking at organizations. Since that time, I went to work for a for-profit company as their vice president of professional services. It was a rehab company. Some of you may have heard of it. In Columbus, some of you may have seen the NovaCare Dove on some buildings. It was the largest contract rehab company in the country. And I got a chance in that experience to understand the importance of looking at revenue, looking at costs, looking at the beneficiary beyond the patient and the family to be shareholders. And so that gave me another insight with regard to how to look at service delivery, that it had to also take into account other things than just making sure we were doing things that we thought we needed to do for the patient or their family. And then I met this Buckeye, and I fell in love, and he brought me to Columbus, and I started my business, the Outcomes Management Group. And I've been inside 150 organizations around the country. 50% of them are nonprofit organizations. And so it's through those lens that I am going to be talking about nonprofit organizations. But I not only worked inside the organization, I also served on board so that I could stay in the lived experience when I was doing board governance work. And it's really in that situation that AI came into the forefront. I was the chair of the governance committee and very much focused on making sure boards were composed of people that brought knowledge and skills that would make sure that the organization could achieve its mission. And I thought, oh, we now need someone with AI to be on our boards. And that's going to be sort of hard to find for all these nonprofit boards. So, is there anything out there about AI and standards? And so on LinkedIn, there I was, and there was Todd. And I said, oh my gosh, look, standards. And I sent him a little note and said, could I talk to him? And the rest is history. I talked to Todd, and here I am, and here we are, looking at nonprofits and governance. So I'm really grateful, Todd, to have had a chance and for you to connect me with John and this board. And hopefully we can really together move some things into this sector. I am about outcomes. So these are the four that I thought for this session. One, I think it's important for you to be very clear about why this matters, because the why is going to really, I think, reinforce the importance of us taking this on and making it happen. I want you to see what the governance gap is right now from my lenses. I want to talk a little bit about data gathering from my lenses as well in the best framework. And then most importantly, what do we do? Nice to know all this stuff, but what would be the best path forward? So let's quickly take a look at why. First of all, there's over 2 million nonprofits managing $3.7 trillion in the country. Now, it's the next part that really drives my heart. They're serving the most vulnerable populations. So we're talking about organizations that really are can be very impactful to many people's lives and in communities. And they are now beginning to adopt technology, but not without governance. And so that means they may not be using it responsibly, and there could be some issues. Other data that I think makes this why so important is that, the size is important, the amount of money that they're bringing, but look, they also are the third largest employer of people in the country. They bring 5% share to the US GDP. So the scale of this sector is not to be ignored because it does have a significant impact. But if we bring it into our state of Ohio, again, it's too large for us to ignore, and also, make sure that governing is tied into what's going on in our organization. So again, you get a chance to see what the size is, and you can see, again, it's pretty representative of being big enough for us to want to pay attention to it. Now, what's going on with people adopting AI? This is very interesting in the nonprofit sector. So at 2024, people weren't paying too much attention to it. 2025, half people were like, oh my gosh, yes, yes. And 2026, and we're not even into 6 months into 2026. And the data is telling us that about 92% of nonprofits are embracing AI. But guess what they're embracing it to do? Many of you may know, and I'm sorry, I don't have the name of our attendee from Puerto Rico, but he represents the area that a lot of people are utilizing. Fundraising, how do we get money? Because these organizations need money. And so they're seeing AI now as a great tool that they can utilize to get funds, also to do more marketing so that they can get the funds that they need. But once again, it's not in the context of governing, because when we look at whether they have a strategy or not for AI, you can see while there is wide usage, lots of exploring tools, but only 7% have a strategy. And then when we talk about a formal strategy, one in which, it's gone through a board and people have really approved it, embraced it, and using it, not so much. So again, A strategy is important because we don't want to just pick a tool here, pick a tool there, and be doing different things and not know how that could really overall help us accomplish our mission, because the nonprofit organization has a specific mission that they need to accomplish, and we want to get away from the mission. So let's turn our heads now to the gap that I see widening between innovation and oversight. There is the policy guys. Yeah, you should be like going like, oh my gosh, yes, we definitely need to be in here with the nonprofits. You were talking about sharing policies. Yep, we need to. 76% have no AI policies, and 90% have no official AI policies. And only 15% have successfully implemented an AI policy. So right away, you see that these organizations are running wild with AI, with no guardrails to make sure that we're not running wild in the wrong places and in the wrong ways. When we get to the boards, which, I'm where most of my work starts in the nonprofit organizations, you find that the board members are using AI personally because in their organizations, they're doing some things with AI. But when we think about it as relates to being a board member, and what does that mean now? They need to have some training around AI, because now we've got to think about AI differently than we do when we're using it on our job in our organizations. Uh, there has not been a focus also on AI ethics, and you can see that there is opportunity there for more attention to be brought to board members. And as I mentioned earlier, a fair amount of them are already are using AI, but it's still, again, more related to in the AI board work. It's meetings, sending out emails, making up things, that they want to communicate, but not in a strategic, from a strategic perspective. So there's lots of opportunity here as it relates to board work in nonprofit organizations, because, and I'll mention, I think, shortly about why that's so important. So again, I think it's just a reinforcement of the fact that the governance instruments and things have not, been built in utilizing AI. And I'm sure Todd is really excited over there, even though I can't see him, about what needs to happen here. Now, here's why governance is so important in the nonprofit space in a different way than we see it in the for-profit space. So let's look at this case in Michigan where fraud was found, and unfortunately, 48,000 of the accusations were false. And those false accusations rather resulted in families not getting the funding that they needed. And so there is a correlation here with mishaps based upon AI in the nonprofit space that can be very detrimental to the people that they're trying to serve and the communities in which those people live. So it becomes even more paramount that we're paying attention to what we're doing in this space and how we're doing it, et cetera. You look at Arkansas and you saw that cut in the Medicaid home care hours. I have a young lady that works with me who has a disability, and she needs someone to get in there to help her in the morning to get dressed so that she can go to work. So when home care, you know, is not funded, and if you're depending upon somebody to help you or to help your family member, because you've got to go off to work or whatever, that becomes a real problem. And here they found that 50%, was significant, and how it impacted people with disabilities. And it was just a glitch. Look, it was my computer. The algorithm cut the hours. Well, the algorithm didn't take into consideration some things that it needed to, and look what happened. That was significant in someone's life, and therefore it can't be sort of treated lightly. In Ohio, I really was excited about our summit, the first summit that we held. And we had Katrina Flory there from, the Ohio CIO, and she made it very clear to us that, AI was the top priority now statewide and across with all CIOs of different states, that this was their big conversation and focus. I learned Ohio has an AI council. There's policies, there are approved use cases, but nonprofits are not yet really moving into that space as we need to be, and making sure that there are use cases that are centered around the various types of nonprofits, because that range of nonprofit is also very different from the small nonprofit to the larger nonprofit. So a lot of times people don't think of United Way and YWCA, and there are lots of big nonprofits groups, but there's a gamut of nonprofits that we need to take a look at and get them in the picture. Here's how the governance risk shows up for me as it relates to nonprofits that make it important to not have data leakage, because confidential information might get out, things about the person and their condition. So we have to be concerned about that. We can't just sort of think it's not a big deal, and making sure that people are not just entering information and putting it in the systems and records and doing whatever they're doing with it. And there's been no thought around making sure we know what data is going in where and who has permission and so forth and so on. And you already know that I've got a thing about the algorithms, that we've got to make sure that we're looking at those so that, again, we don't have things happen where people are going to end up being ineligible for something, are not going to be able to get the grants they should, or the resources aren't going to be allocated that are necessary to do the work that needs to get done with different people. So algorithm bias, we've got to pay attention to that. This third one I'm very concerned about is people getting away from the mission, getting excited about some of the things that AI can do, and then in particular, not getting so excited about focusing on AI with how much money they can generate and bring in, that they forget about the human side and the program equity that also needs attention, so that the organization, so we get all this money in, great, but then if we don't deliver on the mission, guess what? That's a problem. So we can't get sidetracked on one side and not make sure we're also paying as much attention to the other side. And ultimately, for nonprofits, this will be a bear if the public loses trust, because nonprofits really depend upon the public to contribute. They need the dollars from donors to contribute. They need the partnerships from corporations. And if people lose confidence, then you can be assured that they are not going to get the dollars that they were getting. So being clear about that loss of public trust and the harm that it can cause is really critical. So those are the risks, and I think they reaffirm why the work that AIFA is doing is really critical and needs to get connected into this sector. Now, on the bright side of things, is when AI is done right, then guess what? Great things happen in that organization. So, as it relates to the mission of the organization, I love the Feeding America. So, you're going to get people getting what they need faster. It's going to be delivered to me. I need this, and you're better able to get it to me. Um, so that means more people are going to have the food that they need when they need it and not waiting to get the food. And therefore they can be healthier. And so the outcomes can be great. When we look at inside Ohio, and seeing some good things that have happened there, using the AI to help with documentation and how that has been able to improve care. And one of the things that clinicians really, hate is all the paperwork, all the paperwork. Oh, I spend more time with the paperwork than I can spend time with, doing the things that I'm trained to do. So AI can augment that, help that, so that that work can get done faster. And in some instances, it may even be better. So again, looking at ways in which AI can really accelerate the mission, and that is again why governance is going to be very important, so that we are thinking about how do we make sure that we are doing the things, accessing the things that we need. It's built into, our strategy. Think about it, the budget. If the budget has not allocated any dollars for, materials and resources, then we're not going to have access to the things that we could. What about training, staff training, board training? If those dollars are not allocated into the budget, then they don't occur, or they occur haphazardly. So those are the kinds of things that absolutely have to get attention inside our nonprofit organizations. The second thing is looking at measurement and responsible AI governance. And in this instance, there are 4 areas that I have found that when organizations stay focused on those, they get extraordinary results. And it comes together in a cute word like BEST, but each of those letters stand for something in particular, and more importantly, drive a specific outcome. So organizations need to be focused on their image. Nonprofit organizations must be focused on their image, because that is what attracts. And so again, we want to make sure that we can attract people to come work, to serve on the board, to give to us. And so image is really important. Hence, we can't do things that's going to mar the image or send out signals that are inconsistent with the image that we want to make sure we're projecting. E is about excellence, and this just feeds right into what we're all concerned about, and that is standards. There have to be standards in an organization, because standards is what reflects into the quality of the work, quality of the product, the quality of whatever the output of the organization is. So standards are essential. And we've got to make sure that we're looking at those and making sure those are in place and that they're the right standards. S, my discovery here was one of my favorite discoveries when I was working with organizations. Satisfaction. When people are satisfied, when employees are satisfied, they get energy, and energy turns into productivity. So when I walk into an organization and people are complaining and whining about things, I don't even have to look at productivity numbers. I know immediately the productivity is not where it could be. Likewise, on the recipient side, if people are receiving something that they're really satisfied about, then they're going to be more apt to do the things that you're asking them to do. If it's not, then they're not going to do those things, and therefore it takes longer for the outcomes to be achieved. So satisfaction becomes really critical. And then, of course,
Dr. Pat,
yes.
Dr. Pat, can we jump in? I think Nick has a question. He has raised his hand. Let me.
Okay, thank you. Right, Nick? Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Hicks, for your work with nonprofits. I work with a lot of veterans-affiliated nonprofits like Stock Hands and Save a Warrior. I'm actually wearing a Save a Warrior t-shirt today. So thank you. I see this and I'm going, yeah, I'm drinking, you're preaching to the choir. But I had a quick question for you. If you could please click the hot buttons. I'm just like trying to suck the marrow from the bone, if you would. I'm trying to see what's below the slide. It's kind of covering it up. If you or whoever else could click that hide so I could see all of the portion of your PowerPoint. And I'm really excited to the rest of these slides. Thank you for letting me interrupt you.
Okay, so now, is everybody else?
Yeah, it's the stop sharing / hide button. It's at the bottom of the slide,
Okay,
bottom center.
yeah, I just hit that.
Yeah, I think,
Is it gone now?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, you stopped sharing. I think we needed it to be moved, slid up instead of
I stopped sharing now. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make you stop sharing, just the other button, which would have hidden that little pop-up so we could see your whole presentation.
Okay, so now I got to get back to how do I?
Technology, right, guys?
John,
Technology.
so now what do I need to do to get back to sharing? Do I have to come out of it? And
Yeah,
hit
just
share
share
it.
again.
Sharing again, and then you can share your slides window.
up? I'm trying to, okay.
And then once there,
Okay, let's see.
so sorry for the interruption. Thank
That's
you for being
okay.
so.
Yeah, that's good. It's okay. I just, okay.
John, remember we have an additional description for Nicholas. That's the destroyer of slideshows.
I already got my military call, but I guess I'm getting a new one. Destroyer.
Okay.
During the summit,
More
we had a
appropriate
little
for
issue.
disruptor.
During the summit, we had an issue with the laptop, and somebody goes, "Oh, it's full of tech people here. They should be able to take care of that." And I'm sitting going back, "These are all CIOs. They don't know how to turn on the darn thing."
Yeah, I am really.
So, Dr. Pat, if you can go to the screen that shows the participants.
Yep, I am there.
If you move the mouse, you see the toolbar at the bottom that has the video, audio, and then the arrow that is the share.
Yeah, so I must not be at the right. Hold on a minute. I'm not. Yeah, I hit that button and for some reason, let me see. Maybe I have to pull my screen up. Let me see.
Yes, ma'am. Once within the Zoom or Zoho interface for our meeting, and if you move your mouse down to the bottom of the screen,
Yeah.
it'll pop up like sliver where it has a time of recording. It's like 49 seconds and 48 minutes. And then the middle button, as you pointed out, the arrow should be your share.
Yeah, and I hit it and it's not doing anything, but it must not be live. I'm seeing 49.09 seconds, but for some reason, when I
Are
hit.
you on multiple
Once you get
screens?
I was just gonna say, once you get to the screen where you hit share, you're supposed to click the screen
Share
area.
screen.
Yeah, the screen, like your PowerPoint. You have to click on your PowerPoint and then hit share again.
Okay. Okay. Are you seeing it again? No?
Not yet. Are you in multiple screens, Dr. Pat?
I think I probably have gotten myself into multiple screens.
Okay, so if
But
you
I
have
see
multiple
guys,
screens,
then I think I only have my screen open, my slide. So
Okay.
oh, I see. Oh, wait, yeah, there is another screen open. Let me close that. Okay. All right. So, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. 'Cause yeah, see, I'm usually using just Zoom, and so I'm having a hard time with the This one.
Would you like to email it to me? I can share it from here.
I'm almost, okay, okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Hmm. Well, I don't know. It's for some reason it's making me keep bringing me back to the recording. I don't want to get off. Hmm. Okay.
If this was an old Saturday Night Live thing, we can go talks amongst.
Okay, John, I'm there now. I'm sending it to you.
It's that show on Netflix, the IT crowd. Just turn it off and on. It should work.
Have you tried rebooting it?
Okay, I'm
Chris will
just
have
sending.
to tell you that tomorrow.
Okay, I just sent it to you, John.
Okay.
Dr. Hicks,
Yes.
thank you so much. I'm all in on the best thing. Right here.
That's fine. Okay. Well, I can see you guys. Did anybody have any other questions or comments while we're waiting?
I love your PowerPoint.
Okay. Well, that
Let
was
me
good.
ask you-
That was helped with the assistance of AI. Perplexity
So
Perplexity has a new feature. Have you seen it?
I've not received it yet, but
Oh,
yeah, it's clicked. So just give me a second. But what I was going to ask you is some of these things that you're talking about definitely seem like they are practices that both for-profits and nonprofits fall into.
yes, they are.
And what do you feel is the main difference between the two?
When you say the main difference, you mean in executing the practices or knowing it?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, okay. So I would say very interesting things about executing the practices. So on the for-profit side, when I was the vice president there, the issue is being able to know how to connect the dot that what we're talking about generates revenue and dollars so that they will execute the practices. Otherwise, they're not really interested in it either. So I learned that you have to really make sure that you can show, for example, when I wanted to get training that costs a lot of money to make sure all these therapists learn something, I'd better know how to show the return on investment of that $1 million training program, or else no one around the table is interested in my training, no matter how great that all sounded. So when fraud and abuse that we're talking about, I had to go to a state where we were accused of fraud and abuse. And to really see what was going on that was creating that. And it turned out, let's just say aides and assistants weren't being supervised properly. Well, if we don't train them and make that happen, and that's we're a company is in 47 states, we're vulnerable. but nobody's interested in that unless I could show them, here's what the benefit is going to be. Either it's going to be a benefit to a return on their dollar or a benefit that's going to show them they're going to stay out of jail. So you've got to have that connection. On the other side, in the nonprofit side, everybody's very passionate about what they're doing. They just like to do and be good. So now we've got to show them that this is going to help them to be good and be able to get people to contribute more to them, because they are doing good. So it's two sides, but both of them, the messaging is a little different on to get the buy-in to do the practices that need to occur.
That makes sense. I hope everybody can see what I just shared.
Okay, can everybody see it? Okay, yay, good. All right, so the last one we were talking about was time, and time is really important to measure because of two things. One, it relates to helping people get what they need when they need it. And then on the other side of the coin, it helps us to keep costs down. So we have to pay attention to time because along with time comes cost. And so I look at time very much at everything for those two perspectives because we can serve both well, but we got to pay attention to the time. So that's the piece there regarding it. So when we apply some of this to thinking about governance, here we want nonprofits, and we're going to say anyone to be concerned, about their image. So here, though, I think they mentioned it at the summit. Whenever you're using AI, you should be disclosing that you're using it. It's just like if I wrote an article, I use references. It would be silly for me to publish an article and not cite the references that I used. It doesn't mean I copied what the references said. It said they provided insight to it. So when you said you liked my slides, I didn't try to hide the fact that I had not utilized AI. I thought I did great work with slides before Perplexity and this, and I went like, oh, I told my husband, I don't know if I'll ever make a slide again now because I didn't have to pay the graphic designer. I could get it done fast. I can give feedback to it. It didn't just lay this out because, I gave it feedback. I might have liked something, didn't like something. They might have made an assumption that wasn't the right assumption. So, yeah, image is important, and therefore people do need to let people know. Excellence here on the other side here, we've already talked about. This is the problem that we have to get right here is these standards and policies in place. Absolutely has just got to, I'm very nervous in the nonprofit sector here. Satisfaction, again, here we're talking about we can enhance staff's capacity and make them more satisfied so we can get better work done. I'm working with 12 rural towns in Oklahoma, and this one town in Boley, the town clerk is doing 50 million things. Bringing some AI agents in there to help this clerk is going to really make all the difference in the world. So satisfaction and looking at AI and measuring all that. And then we also talked about time. Here, I'm thinking about the fact is we can't afford to not get nonprofits moving fast in this area because policies are being developed, standards are occurring, and they're going to have to comply. And so if we're not aware, then they're going to be in trouble because those are happening. John, if you can go to the next one, I'm looking at our time. I want to make sure we have some more time for questions. For me, it's about these three things: alignment, measurement, and outcomes. And governance is a kingpin to me for alignment. So when we create things, we really need for the people that are on the boards and the governance to make sure everything is in alignment and that we're measuring, because that's going to be how we're going to increase mission impact. And the path forward. So what do we do next? Number one, policy. So the work that we're doing here at AIFA is so important. So we got to help people establish those policies. We have to elevate board literacy. So that means training of boards, thinking of ways to do it, and thinking about, because it's not like one training and we're done, so we've got to make sure that we're giving thoughtfulness around that training. The aligning AI with the mission and values of the organization. So again, not just picking tools and not thinking about tools that can enhance, what we're trying to achieve. We have to assign clear roles and accountability. Right now, think about it. I just sit out there and I go, oh, I like this tool. And I get it, and I just start using it. Nobody knows that I'm using it. Who knows whether it's the best tool? Maybe there was another tool that would have been a better tool for me to use. So if there's no clarity about, when you pick something, see something, is someone going to approve it? Is there some process here to make some decisions? All that is just really critical inside the organization, holding people accountable. And then, of course, again, engaging the community in what you're doing so that they can also embrace and accept it, because there's a lot of people are scared. I posted something, I think, after our summit, and it was really interesting. I was really glad to see this girl posted it with someone from my hometown, and she goes, oh, well, Pat, I'm skeptical of AI. And then someone else chimed in and talked about how skeptical they were of AI. And then I mentioned, well, that's why, I mentioned about the Freedom Alliance. That's why I joined that board, because it's really important to make sure that we have guardrails and that we can make sure that, what we're doing is really appropriate. And then someone who knew me from ASHA said, oh, well, if you're doing it, then we know we can trust that. And that made me feel really good, because people really want to trust that what you're talking about is really, really, really going to be what it should be. So that's an area why you got to get the community in and not having people be hyper and afraid that you're not, you're not taking all the things into consideration that you should. And the last one, Ohio is moving. And so what I found here was some interesting things. One, I found about the AI in education mandate, that there's this bill that is going to come into effect in July around public schools adopting this AI policy. Well, if nonprofits are providing youth services in these schools, then they're going to be held, they're going to have to be in alignment with the policy. So they're going to need to know. So there are some little policies now that are creeping up in places where nonprofits are, that they can't afford to be ignorant of some new mandates. And then again, I think, our chief information officer really, alerted me that, this is just really everywhere, all the states. So it's now not just a best practice for boards. Boards need to understand this isn't a best practice. The conversation I'm having now with boards, it's your fiduciary responsibility. And that's very different from let's adopt a little best practice. They oftentimes people get on boards and they don't realize you have the ultimate responsibility for this organization, not the CEO. So when something goes awry, it's the board that everyone's going to be looking at. And so you can't afford to have this little gap going on and you not tune in. Next, John. And so, Todd, are you there? Can you come off of mute if you are? Is Todd still here? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, Todd.
For some reason,
you didn't know. I'm going to let you be the quick reviewer of AI Navigator.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So for those of us who haven't seen this before, AI Navigator is a multi-purpose assessment tool. So it's used to help gauge readiness, for within your organization for the appropriate, responsible, and effective use of artificial intelligence systems. So that's anything including what you may have purchased that has AI included as part of its operation, or the conceptualization, development, and initiation of any AI systems that are built in-house. So it is a multi-purpose tool. The readiness portion of the tool has one basic conceptual family of assessment questions. So it's basically a capability family. So it's a series of capabilities that go toward alignment. So how well aligned is your organization to be able to take advantage of AI systems? Then there's a maturity assessment that goes into whether or not your AI systems are well governed, trusted, and whether or not you have good controls over the effectiveness in terms of fairness and bias detection. So is it a trusted platform? Is it a platform that that you can rely on to provide fair and unbiased responses to questions, queries, or decisions that are made as a result of. So this is a product that is going live. We did a soft launch the middle of the month, but it is going live at the end of the month. And we're really looking forward to getting version 1.0 out the door, and we're looking forward to our next version, which will have greater capabilities. What's great about this tool, because there are so many tools available, so many assessments that are available, this one actually requires evidence. A lot of the readiness tools that you can find out on the market, especially the ones that are for free, don't require that you give them any evidence at all or give the tool any evidence at all. This one requires that you provide evidence. Do you have policy? Yes. If you do, show us what your policy is. Let's take a look at it. Is there a specific fitness for purpose for this policy, for your organization? Other assessment tools don't even ask for that. They just ask whether or not you have it. And, it could be a yes or no. Our tool gives special weighting for the strength of the evidence that's provided. So if you do an assessment and you use AIFA or an AIFA approved partner to help perform your assessment, the score that you get out the other end of the assessment is something that is sponsored by AIFA, so you can use that as part of your advertising. You can put that into your signature, your email signatures, if you like. That you've got an AIFA score of 1 to 5. 5, of course, being the best, which we're not expecting to see too many 5s. But 1 to 5, it's there is meaning to those scores. But yeah, and you can track your scores. You can do the assessment multiple different times, and you can track your maturity improvement over time. What's great is this is an assessment product that has attestation added to it as a product bonus.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
See, that was the real guru right there. And so he's really why I'm here, because all of what he was writing about and talking about was what I saw that was really needed, in this space. So can we go to let's see. Yeah. Oh, we're already there. The key takeaways. All right, great. Thank you, John. You're on it. So the key takeaways is that this is a fiduciary responsibility. I think that's the key takeaway when we're thinking about nonprofits, is that we want board members to see it as a fiduciary responsibility. We want to promote readiness, identification. And so the Air Navigator definitely is something that I think would be a useful tool for nonprofits. I think we want to get nonprofits to be focused on alignment and measurement so that, they can act responsibly as it relates to achieving the impact of their mission. The best framework also gives a lens for looking more at the data side and making sure quality in, quality out. And then, of course, the big one is to push everyone into act now because things are happening so fast that we can't afford to sit back and wait. John, the last one. That's it. I hope that this has given you some insight about some of the things that I'm seeing and thinking about regarding nonprofits and AI. Would love any other questions or comments. I think I'm coming in right in a minute before we're supposed to end.
Yeah, I think we probably have time for one question. If anybody has a question, just to be respectful of everybody's time. And if there are no questions, I am going to say, Dr. Bath, thank you so much for doing this. Do you mind if we shared the slide deck with the participants in here?
Absolutely. Feel free to share it. And I also have one other thing that I'm going to send you that I'd like for you to share as well.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm actually going to put it right now in the chat, and please feel free to pick it up from the chat.
Okay, great.
It is right there. And I am going to stop the recording.